Have you ever wondered if your cat even understands when you're scolding them? In this video, I'll share 8 science-backed techniques to guide your cat's behavior the right way without causing stress, fear, or confusion. Number 1. What not to do when scolding a cat. Never use physical punishment. Let's say your cat jumps up on the kitchen counter again, despite your 100 attempts to stop them. You feel frustrated, maybe even angry, and in that moment, your hand twitches to give a light tap or swat. It might seem harmless. After all, you're not hitting hard, right? But here's the truth. Even the gentlest form of physical punishment can deeply affect a cat, and not in the way you might hope. Cats are not like children who can be reasoned with, or like dogs who might associate punishment with disobedience. Their brains work differently. They don't understand that being hit, tapped, or swatted is meant to correct a behavior. To them, it's not a consequence. They see it purely as an unpredictable act of aggression. It doesn't teach a lesson. It teaches fear. Imagine if someone you love, someone who's always given you food, affection, and safety, suddenly raised their hand and struck you when you were simply acting on instinct. You wouldn't reflect on your mistake. You'd feel scared, betrayed, and unsure about whether you could trust them again. That's what happens when a cat is physically punished. They don't think, "I shouldn't have scratched the furniture." They think, "The hand I trusted just hurt me." Over time, this creates a ripple effect. Your cat may start flinching when you reach out to pet them. They might hide when you enter the room or become anxious during what used to be comforting interactions. Some cats even grow defensive, reacting with claws or teeth, not because they're mean or angry, but because they're scared. They no longer feel safe in your presence. And once that sense of safety is gone, it can take weeks, months, or even years to fully rebuild. Worse, some cats may begin associating punishment not with their actions, but with specific locations. For instance, if you swat them while they're near their litter box or food bowl, they might begin avoiding those essential spots altogether, leading to new behavioral problems. Physical punishment doesn't solve issues, it multiplies them. Cats respond far better to environments that are calm, predictable, and loving. They learn through positive experiences, not pain. If you want to correct a behavior, the most effective approach is redirection, consistency, and rewards. Catch them doing something good, like using their scratching post, and reinforce that with treats, praise, or gentle play. This builds trust rather than fear and turns you into a safe, reliable figure in their eyes. Your cat isn't trying to be disobedient or naughty. They're just being a cat, acting on instincts that have been wired into them over thousands of years. It's up to us to meet them halfway, not with punishment, but with patience and understanding. In the end, the relationship you have with your cat will be built not on control or fear, but on love, respect, and trust. And that's a bond worth protecting. Avoid yelling or loud noises. It's the 3rd time this week your cat has knocked over your favorite plant. Soil everywhere. Leaves torn. You clench your fists and your voice rises. "No. What are you doing?" But before your words are even finished, your cat has darted out of the room, eyes wide, body low, tail tucked. And while you might feel like you've made your frustration clear, your cat has learned nothing, except that you've suddenly become loud, scary, and unpredictable. Cats are extremely sensitive to sound. Their ears can pick up frequencies we can't even hear, and noises that seem normal to us can feel thunderous to them. When you yell, your voice isn't just loud. It's alarming, jarring, and completely overwhelming for your cat. They don't understand the meaning behind your words. They're not thinking, I must have done something wrong." Instead, they feel panic. Their instinct tells them one thing: run and hide. Over time, this pattern can chip away at your relationship. A cat who repeatedly hears yelling may begin to associate your presence with stress. They might avoid you even when you're calm, unsure of when the next frightening outburst will happen. You'll notice subtle changes. Maybe they stop coming when you call, or they hesitate before climbing into your lap. Their trust begins to erode, not because they're holding a grudge, but because their environment no longer feels emotionally safe. What's even more damaging is that fear doesn't teach. A cat that's frightened by your volume won't connect that fear to a specific action like scratching the couch or jumping on a counter. Their brains simply don't work that way. Instead of learning what not to do, they just learn to fear your voice. In some cases, yelling can even escalate behavior problems. A stressed or anxious cat might become more destructive Start eliminating outside the litter box or act out with aggression. Not to punish you, but because stress throws their entire sense of balance off. Now imagine this from your cat's perspective. One moment, they're just doing what feels natural, playing with dangling cords, chasing a fly, or exploring new heights. The next moment, a booming voice erupts. They don't know why it happened or what caused it. All they know is that peace turned into chaos. If you truly want to shape your cat's behavior, your greatest tool isn't your volume. It's your consistency, patience, and tone. Speak gently but firmly. Redirect them calmly to an appropriate activity. Use treats or toys to reinforce good behavior. Over time, these small efforts build a sense of understanding between you and your cat. They learn to listen not out of fear, but because they trust your guidance. Cats aren't trying to make you angry. They're just curious, instinct-driven creatures living in a human world. And it's up to us to speak their language, not through volume, but through calm, clear signals. When you trade yelling for understanding, you don't just correct behavior. You deepen the bond with your cat in a way that makes both of your lives more peaceful and connected. Don't use spray bottles or scary tactics. Imagine you're walking through your home, minding your own business, when suddenly someone jumps out and splashes water in your face. You freeze, heart pounding. You don't understand why it happened, just that it was shocking and unpleasant. That's exactly how a cat feels when we use spray bottles, loud claps, cans of coins, or other startling methods to stop their behavior. These tactics may seem like a quick fix. And sure, they might make your cat jump down from the counter or run out of the room. But what they don't do is help your cat understand why the behavior was unwanted in the first place. Cats aren't wired to connect a sudden scary moment with a specific action they just did. Their brains don't work that way. When you spray your cat for scratching furniture, they don't think, "Oh, the couch is off limits." They think, "Something bad just happened, and I don't feel safe anymore." Over time, this teaches them to avoid you, not the behavior. You might notice your cat flinching when you reach for a water bottle or even when you move your hand too quickly. Instead of learning boundaries, they start living in a constant state of low-grade fear. Even worse, these fear-based techniques often lead to what's called sneaky behavior. Your cat might stop scratching the sofa while you're watching, but they'll go right back to it when you're not in the room. Why? Because they haven't learned that scratching the couch is wrong. They've learned that doing it around you gets them sprayed or startled. The lesson wasn't about the couch. It was about you being unpredictable and scary. Over time, these tactics damage your cat's sense of safety in your home. A cat who's always bracing for a squirt of water or a sudden loud sound may start hiding more often, avoiding playtime, or showing signs of stress like over-grooming or peeing outside the litter box. These aren't signs of defiance, they're signs of anxiety. And chronic stress in cats can lead to long-term health issues like weakened immunity, digestive problems, or even depression-like withdrawal. There are better ways, gentler, kinder, and far more effective. Instead of scaring your cat into stopping a behavior, try understanding why they're doing it in the first place. Are they scratching because they need to stretch and sharpen their claws? Give them a sturdy scratching post and reward them when they use it. Are they climbing counters because they're curious or seeking height? Try adding window perches or cat shelves to redirect that instinct. Behavior change doesn't come from fear. It comes from trust and clear communication. When you build an environment where your cat feels secure and guided, not frightened, they'll respond better, feel more relaxed, and grow closer to you. In the end, it's not just about stopping unwanted actions. It's about raising a cat that feels safe, understood, and genuinely bonded to the human they trust most, you. Don't punish after the fact. You walk into the living room after a long day and find claw marks running down the side of your brand new sofa. Feathers from a destroyed throw pillow are scattered like a mini crime scene. Frustrated, you call out, "Who did this?" and find your cat lounging nearby, peacefully grooming themselves. You point to the mess and say, "Bad cat." Maybe you raise your voice or gesture angrily toward the damage. But your cat? They just blink at you, tilt their head, or walk away without a clue about why you're upset. Here's the important truth. Cats live entirely in the moment. They don't replay past actions or reflect on earlier mistakes. If they scratched the couch an hour ago, or even 5 minutes ago, and you respond much later, they have no idea why you're suddenly angry. From their point of view, you're upset for reasons that don't make sense. They don't see the shredded cushion and think, "Oh, this is because I did that earlier." They see you, their trusted human, looking upset and loud, and they don't understand why. That creates confusion, fear, and distrust. Punishing a cat after the fact doesn't teach them anything about their behavior. It only teaches them that sometimes, without warning, the person they rely on becomes upset or scary. That unpredictability can lead to emotional distancing. You might notice your cat becoming more aloof, avoiding eye contact, or hesitating before approaching you. They're not being stubborn. They're unsure if you're safe to be around. Even worse, this kind of delayed punishment can seriously damage your bond. Cats don't understand guilt the way humans do. They aren't acting guilty because they know they were bad. They're responding to your body language, tone, and mood. If they crouch low or hide when you enter the room, it's not because they feel remorse. It's because your energy feels threatening in that moment, and they're trying to protect themselves. The only time a correction can work is right when the behavior is happening. And even then, it has to be gentle, calm, and clear. If you catch your cat mid-scratch on the sofa, you can interrupt with a firm but soft "aha" and gently guide them toward a scratching post. If they're jumping on the counter, calmly lift them down and redirect them to a more appropriate space. The goal isn't to punish, it's to teach. And teaching takes time, patience, and consistency. Cats don't misbehave out of spite or revenge. They act based on instinct, curiosity, and comfort. Your job isn't to make them fear doing the wrong thing. It's to help them understand what the right thing is and feel good doing it. That's how real learning happens. So next time you come home to a mess, take a breath. Clean it up without a scene. Then think about how to prevent the behavior in the future. Can you add more scratching posts? Can you use deterrent sprays on the furniture or make that area less appealing? Every problem has a solution rooted in patience and understanding, not punishment after the fact. Avoid threatening eye contact. You're trying to set boundaries. Maybe your cat just knocked over a cup or is edging dangerously close to your laptop. You think, maybe if I stare at them long enough, they'll get the message. It might feel like you're showing calm control or dominance, but to your cat, something very different is happening. In the world of feline communication, direct, unblinking eye contact isn't a neutral gesture. It's a warning, a challenge, a silent but powerful way to say, "I'm watching you. Step closer, and there will be consequences." Cats are highly visual creatures, and they read body language with precision, especially when it comes to eyes. In the wild, or even in multi-cat households, intense eye contact is often the first stage of a confrontation. It can quickly escalate into defensive posturing, hissing, or even physical fights. So when you fix your gaze on your cat with stern, focused eyes, they're not interpreting that as, "I disapprove of what you're doing." They see it as, "You're trying to pick a fight." Your cat might freeze, lower their ears, flick their tail in discomfort, or bolt under the furniture. Some cats respond with subtle signs of stress, looking away nervously, licking their lips, or walking with tense, crouched bodies. Others might go into full defensive mode, hissing or swatting. Not because they want to be aggressive, but because your gaze made them feel cornered and threatened. In those moments, it's not about the spilled water or the scratched furniture. It's about survival instincts. Now let's flip the situation. Have you ever seen your cat slowly blink at you from across the room? That soft, relaxed blink is the feline equivalent of a warm smile. It's your cat's way of saying, "I feel safe with you. I trust you." And when you return that slow blink, you're speaking their language, reassuring them that everything is okay, that you're not a threat, and that your bond is strong. These tiny moments of gentle, relaxed eye contact go a long way in building trust. Cats don't need dominant figures. They need safe companions. If your cat is doing something undesirable, resist the urge to use a hard stare. Instead, gently redirect them with calm body language, a soft voice, or a distraction like a toy or treat. Use your presence as a guide, not a threat. Remember, your cat sees the world differently. What feels like simple eye contact to us can speak volumes to them. The eyes are powerful tools. Use them not to control your cat, but to connect with them. A soft gaze, a slow blink, a moment of mutual calm. These are the silent gestures that tell your cat, "You're safe. You're understood. You're loved." Number 2, the right way to correct a cat. Use a firm, calm voice. Let's say your cat is eyeing the curtains again, paws twitching, ready to climb. You've already told them no a dozen times, and now you're tempted to shout just to make it stop. But yelling only triggers fear or confusion and does very little to teach your cat what you actually want. What works far better is something simple, yet powerful, a calm, consistent voice used with intention. Cats don't understand human language the way we do, but they're excellent at picking up on tones, rhythms, and patterns. A sudden, sharp aha or a steady, serious no delivered at normal volume can catch their attention in just the right way. It's not about scaring them. It's about creating a moment that snaps them out of the behavior and helps them focus. Think of it as gently pressing a pause button on their instinct-driven actions. When you raise your voice or sound angry, your message gets muddled. Your cat might sense your tension and become frightened, but they still won't understand what they did wrong. The key is to stay neutral, almost businesslike. You're not yelling, you're communicating. Stop that behavior. Right now. And when you use the same tone and word every time, always the same aha or no, your cat begins to connect the sound to a pattern. This sound means what I'm doing isn't okay. Over time, with consistency, your cat may stop mid-action the moment they hear that tone. That's because they've learned, not through fear, but through clear and repeated signals, that the sound means something important. It becomes part of the way you communicate boundaries. But here's the most important part. Your energy matters. If you deliver that sound while feeling angry, tense, or frustrated, your body language and energy will still come off as aggressive, even if your volume is low. Cats are incredibly attuned to emotional cues. They sense your mood through your posture, your breathing, even your eyes. That's why it's so essential to stay grounded. Take a breath. Speak evenly. You're not punishing, you're guiding. It helps to think of yourself not as a disciplinarian, but as a teacher. Teachers don't shout when students make mistakes. They calmly point them out and redirect. That's what you're doing when you calmly interrupt a behavior and follow it up with a redirection. For example, if your cat is clawing at the carpet, a calm aha, followed by placing them near a scratching post, teaches them what to do instead. Your voice can be one of your most powerful tools, but only if it's used with intention, patience, and consistency. Your goal isn't to dominate your cat or control them with fear. It's to create a shared understanding where your cat feels safe, seen, and gently corrected when necessary. Over time, your cat will begin to listen, not because they're scared of your voice, but because they recognize it as the steady voice of someone they trust. Redirect the behavior immediately. Imagine this. Your cat is clawing the arm of your expensive sofa, ears perked, fully engaged in their mission. You say, "No," and they pause. Maybe they stop for a second, maybe not. Either way, if you just walk away thinking the job is done, you've missed a huge opportunity. Because stopping the behavior is only the first half of the lesson. The second half, the most important part, is showing your cat what they should be doing instead. Cats don't misbehave just to annoy you. Every action they take has a reason, whether it's scratching to mark territory and stretch their muscles, biting during play because they're overexcited, or jumping on counters to explore. These are all natural instincts. So when you stop them from doing something, you can't just say no and hope they understand. You have to redirect that same instinct towards something appropriate, something that makes sense to them. Let's go back to the sofa example. After saying aha or no, don't just scold and move on. Gently pick your cat up and take them to a scratching post. Scratch it with your own fingers a little to get their attention, or rub a bit of catnip on it to make it more enticing. The idea is to turn that moment of discipline into a lesson, one where your cat discovers a better outlet for their energy. Or say you're playing and your cat suddenly starts biting your hand. It might be fun at first, until those sharp little teeth start to hurt. Instead of yanking your hand away and ending the play session entirely, calmly stop and replace your hand with a proper toy. A stuffed kicker toy, a wand with feathers, or even a crinkly ball gives your cat something safe and satisfying to bite. Over time, they'll learn hands are not for biting, but toys are. Timing is everything here. If you wait even a minute after the unwanted behavior happens, your cat won't understand what you're trying to teach. The redirection must happen in the moment, while the action is still fresh in their mind. That's how they connect the dots. Cats don't think in long cause and effect chains. They live in the now. What you do now shapes what they learn. And remember, redirection isn't punishment. It's guidance. You're not shutting your cat down. you're giving them a better option. When done consistently and with kindness, redirection helps your cat learn the house rules in a way that makes sense to them. It transforms frustrating moments into teachable ones and builds a deeper level of understanding between you and your pet. So, next time your cat starts chewing cords, jumping on the kitchen counter, or batting at your curtains, don't just stop them. Show them what to do instead. Help them succeed. That's the true art of training. Not just saying no, but showing the better yes. Use consistent commands and cues. Imagine if every time someone wanted you to stop doing something, they used a different phrase. One day it's "don't do that." The next it's "cut it out." And tomorrow it's "stop now." You'd spend more time trying to decode the words than actually understanding the message. That's exactly how it feels for your cat when you use a mix of commands. Cats are smart, but they don't understand human language the way we do. What they do understand is patterns, especially when those patterns are repeated consistently over time. When it comes to teaching your cat right from wrong, consistency in language is key. If your cat jumps on the kitchen counter and you sometimes say "get down," other times say "stop that," and occasionally just wave your hands in frustration, they won't form a clear connection. The sound changes each time, so the meaning stays muddy. But if you always say "off" in a calm, firm voice, your cat will begin to recognize that word as a cue connected to a specific action, getting down from a place they're not supposed to be. It's not just about the word, either. It's how you pair it with your body language. Cats are experts at reading subtle cues. So when you say "off," while gently pointing toward the floor or calmly guiding them off the surface with your hand, you're creating a full picture signal. Over time, that specific combination of voice tone and movement becomes meaningful to them. It's like building your own private language, one that bridges the gap between species. The more consistent you are, the faster your cat learns. Think of it like training a melody into muscle memory. If the tune changes constantly, they can't hum along. But if it stays the same, they learn it by heart. That's why it's important for everyone in the household to use the same commands. If you say "down" and your partner says "get off," your cat will be back to square one. Pick a cue word for each situation, like "no" for general boundaries, "off" for surfaces, and "leave it" for things they shouldn't touch, and stick with it. Also, remember that cats respond better to calm and deliberate commands than to rushed or emotional ones. Yelling "off" in a panic won't speed up learning. It'll just create tension. But a steady, clear "off," used every time they climb somewhere off limits, helps them associate the sound with the behavior in a way they can actually understand. And when you pair that with redirection, like lifting them down and rewarding them for using their cat tree instead, you're reinforcing the right choice. Over time, your cat won't just hear words, they'll recognize meaning. That's the beauty of consistency. It transforms noise into communication. And when your cat starts responding to simple verbal cues with understanding and trust, you'll realize you're not just living with a cat, you're speaking their language. Scolding a cat correctly isn't about being mean or punishing them harshly. It's about communicating in a way that your cat can understand and respond to. Cats don't learn through fear or intimidation, so yelling, hitting, or using aggressive behavior will only create confusion, stress, and mistrust. Instead, effective discipline involves calm and consistent guidance. When your cat misbehaves, respond with a firm but gentle voice and redirect their attention to a more appropriate behavior. For example, if they're scratching furniture, calmly move them to a scratching post and reward them when they use it. Positive reinforcement, like treats, praise, or affection, is far more effective than punishment, as it encourages your cat to repeat good behaviors. Over time, with patience and consistency, your cat will begin to understand boundaries and expectations. More importantly, this approach helps build a deeper bond based on trust and respect, creating a more peaceful, happy home for both you and your feline companion.